The new gods. So Hayes, of course, he's a control freak. He got moral causes in everybody's contract in Hollywood. That sound familiar, right? You know, these Disney kids, they got moral contracts. And if they're get caught out there acting any less than, their whole Disney contract goes out the window. They had parties. La Swanson, her wardrobe was so beautiful. Her house, marble floors, black leather everywhere. The luxurious parties, gatherings, the pools, the movie theaters and the houses. They lived like royalty and they wanted you to watch. They have more money than they could ever need. And for some reason, they believe that it will never stop. Every time somebody's new and they come into their money, they think never will they go backwards again. They don't save. They just squander their money. Charles Spencer Chaplin. He didn't do the wild parties. He sat there and built a studio in Hollywood. One day he met a woman by the name of Peggy Hopkins. Now, they say she is the original gold digger. She had 5 husbands and she had $3 million cash just from alimony. And her latest husband had unalived himself on an island. Even though they only spent the weekend together, when he first walked up to her, they went out on a date and had dinner together. And her first comment was, "Are you hung like they say you are? Because that's what I want to know." And they had fun for the whole weekend. Now, Charlie's women are called Charlie's nymphs. Did I say trigger warning? This is a heavy trigger warning. For some reason, this mess gets darker and darker every time I read. Charlie said he met his first wife at a blanket party. Now, so I don't get banned, you got to pay attention to her age. I'm going to say 2 numbers. You just put them 2 together. Not add them, just put them together. So 1 and about 4. Eventually, 2 years later, this woman gets pregnant. Y'all can do the math. And he has to get married because it's the right thing to do, as he would say. But no, it's the legal thing to do because if you get caught out there, you're going to jail. October 23rd, 1918. Not even 48 hours right after they was married, she meets this director named Mayers. And Mayers is like, I can sell her on shows. Just the fact that you're Charlie Chaplin's wife. It was really hard to sell shows, but she would sell a little bit just because of the name. She had a baby, but the baby was deformed. And about 2 days later, unfortunately, the baby did not make it. She noticed that Charlie had a sinister grin on his face. Charlie hasn't been friendly lately towards her at all. He said she was too immature to have a conversation with him, and he was miserable. So they decide to file for a divorce. He does, however, have to end up paying her alimony. Charlie, in the middle of divorce proceedings, him and Mayers, which was her director, meet up. Charlie starts yelling at Mayers, and Mayers look at him and say, "You effing perv." And with that, Mayers hauled off and beat his ass. Charlie started bleeding. They said even though he was in Hollywood, he's from New Brunswick, and he's about that life. Trigger warning. Lolita, I believe the movie was made after her because this girl's name is Lolita. She was born April 15, 1908. I'm going to tell you the year he met her. Y'all do your own math. If y'all do the math, it's a trigger warning. He met her in 1915 and he could not take his eyes off of her. He started giving Lolita roles. Her mother was a waitress. When Lolita started booking roles, she quit her job. She began relying on her daughter for financial gains. From her age 12 through 15, she was getting minor roles. But for whatever reason, Charlie was always around her, supporting her and trying to groom her to make her a star. If y'all want to know her ages, y'all going to have to do the math. So in 1923, she got her first big break in the gold rush. They said that she was no looker, she was not a good actress, and she could not dance. However, he insisted on making her a star. Her mother was a waitress. Let's give a shout out to her mother. Her mother's name is Miss McMurray, and they called her Nana because she definitely ain't shit. So now Lolita gets her first big star role. Nana rushes in and she fixes up this girl's room. She's like, "Oh, we got to have this here, this here." Now, Lita always had a cat. The cat was given to her by Charlie. She always had it around her. In the middle of filming the movie, she grabbed her stomach and fell on the floor screaming. Now, the mother sitting there like, "Oh, finally, she got some acting out of her." Come to find out, Lita's uncle, which was a lawyer also, tells Charlie, "You better get married because this ain't legal." I know y'all smart. Y'all could read between the lines. So they run to Mexico. What does this sound like? R. Kelly and Aaliyah. They do a shot shotgun wedding in Mexico, gets married November 24, 1924. As soon as they get back, Nana moves in right along with them. And she said, oh no, my daughter is too young to sit here and be a housewife. I have to teach her how to be a lady of the house. I am going to make sure she knows what she's doing. So the mother moves in, and Lolita has 2 kids, June 28, 1925 and March 30th, 1926. I know, they're 7 months apart. That's very weird. Lita and her mom started throwing a whole bunch of parties at the mansions. So now Charlie would get home and he'd be pissed off because he wasn't the partying type. And his house was jumping, people everywhere. Lita and Nana already established that Charlie is worth $16 million. So she was trying to figure out how to get it from him. So every time Charlie would say anything in the house or anything to Lolita would be writing everything down and giving it to her mother. Her mother in return will be giving it to her brother, which was the lawyer. One day Chaplin had enough. He walks in from being at work to parties and he starts screaming. Lolita takes the kids and she leaves. Charlie leaves and goes to his doctor for a couple of days. And while he's there, he noticed the tabloids went crazy. They done sold his whole story. But when asked if they had any premarital intercourse, Lita was like, oh no, we waited until we were married. Now, everyone looks at her sideways because she was pregnant before she got married. They were going back and forth with the tabloids. Now, this was an extreme embarrassment to Charlie, and they looked at him like a clown because he always kept his life private. He never went to the wild parties and stuff like that. So now his face and his name is painted all over the tabloids. But check this tea. At first, everybody was on Lita's side. And all of a sudden, like people do, everyone started switching and they started being on Charlie's side because he was like, you don't understand. She took advantage of me. I didn't know what I was doing. And hence the movie Lolita, if you ever seen it, which I wish I'd never seen it, they tried to make this innocent young girl look like she took advantage of this old man. And when I say young girl, y'all got to look at these ages. I can't tell y'all. But it was all Lolita's fault in the movie, which seems like that's what's happening here. So when Lolita realized she was losing public favor, she turned to Charlie and was like, listen, you better give me a settlement because I will tell everybody every night you left this house and who you were sleeping with at the studios. Charlie didn't want another scandal and the biggest scandal coming out because it was a couple of them. And if you know Charlie, he liked them at a certain age. So he settled and gave her $625,000. I'm noticing a pattern. When Hollywood spills, they always leave something out. I guess it's their bargaining chip. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. I'm not even halfway done this book. So chill with your girl. And y'all can comment down below. Let me know what y'all thinking. Y'all quiet.